Okay, there we go. So let's go back to the screen share and back to the PowerPoint.
You're pretty good at multitasking.
I'll tell you. Okay, here we go. All right, so here's what we're going to be looking at in general tonight. 4 seconds to the presentation. Who are Lions? Your club. With the Your Club part of this, I am going to speak a little bit about each of your clubs. If we had everybody here that had signed up, we would actually have 12 different clubs represented. We probably won't have all those clubs on the way it looks, but maybe they'll sneak in here as we go along. But I can't give you a whole bunch of information because of the number of clubs, a whole bunch of information about your particular club. I'm going to let your individual clubs fill you in more on that. And I'm sure a number of you know a lot about your individual clubs already. Hopefully some of the things that I bring up as well. And so that's going to be a bigger piece, though, of the presentation, because that's where a lot of your activity is. But I'm also going to then broaden out to what we call the district and multiple district level of Lions and the whole international organization as well. So those are the 4 parts of our presentation. And again, if you have questions or comments, feel free to just unmute yourself and ask away. I'll be happy to answer whatever I can with the questions that come. So the first part of our presentation is on just kind of a real basic overview of who Lions are. Our organization, as you understand, I believe, is an international organization, a worldwide organization, and we are a service organization. We are currently at over 1.4 million members, 200 countries, 48,000 clubs around the world. So it's a pretty wide reach, and that's part of what helps us be very effective, especially when it comes to some of our disaster relief efforts and things like that, where we are able, as an international organization, we're able to get assistance to people right in the communities because we have all of these clubs in communities throughout the world. So it is an international organization, but the real action of this organization happens at the club level in each of our communities. The International Association, like many groups, businesses, whatever, they have these broad vision statements, mission statement, motto, slogan. When we talk about a vision statement, we're talking about how an organization sees itself or wants to be seen by the rest of the world. And in our case, you can see the vision statement to be the global leader in community and humanitarian service. So again, most everything that we do as Lions comes back to the aspect of service and wanting to provide service and meet the needs of our communities. That's how we hope to be seen as a international organization, a worldwide organization. The mission statement, a mission statement basically tells us, why do we exist? Why do we have Lions clubs? As you can see, there's kind of a 4-part aspect to the way Lions have defined their mission. Community and humanitarian needs, meeting those, encouraging peace, promoting international understanding through Lions clubs. And the very first one there is empowering volunteers. And I think that is a big piece of what Lions try to do. They, at the international level and the levels above the club level, they're trying to work to empower the people in clubs to do the service that's needed in their communities. That's why our motto is "We serve." That motto is just kind of as succinct a description of what we do as we can make it. So you will often see "We serve" on Lions literature. You will hear that over and over and over again as we go. Now the organization's slogan, I think, is kind of interesting. Liberty, intelligence, our nation's safety. And that is the official slogan of Lions International. I believe that that slogan has been the slogan for almost since the inception, if not since the inception of the organization back in 1917. And if you think about what the way the world was in 1917, what was going on in 1917? Anybody want to unmute themselves and tell us?
WW1.
World War I, yes. And so when we're talking about patriotism and protecting our nation, that slogan really makes sense. I think as time has gone on, there are different times, when we get to World War II or other times where that still comes into play, and it has its relevance for all of us. But an unofficial way, and you can see we've got the acronym there with the lions, is another one that people like to use is loving individuals offering needed services. And that's a kind of a nice thought too, which really ties in with our service theme. If we want to drill down from that broad mission statement that we had up there, empowering the volunteers and humanitarian needs and encouraging peace and international understanding, the purposes kind of further define that. And this is sort of a long list. This is in our Constitution and bylaws. All of this actually comes out of our international Constitution and bylaws. But there are a number of things that we try to do. And I don't want to necessarily sit here and read all of that to you. And by the way, I'm happy to share this PowerPoint, the slides with you after the meeting or after the seminar, if you want to look at it or keep that for reference at all. But I think these are again a lot of good things that promote the fellowship that we have within our clubs and go a long way to helping our clubs function very effectively if we can keep this mindset of here's why we exist and what's coming up next too as far as the a code of ethics. But in here, you can see that we want to organize clubs and charter new clubs. We're trying to always keep the membership alive and growing because we need lines to, we have to continue to renew our membership in order to keep our clubs alive and keep them thriving. The more we can do that, the more we can serve folks in our communities. With coordinating activities and standardizing some of the administration, that just helps us be more efficient. We want people around the world or work with our folks around the world and promote that understanding so that we can get more done, not just in our communities, but across the boundaries of our regions and countries around the world. Good government and citizenship is kind of an interesting one too. I'm not sure if that goes back to the start of our organization or if these have been, I'm sure they're continually reevaluated, but nobody or the people who do that evaluation certainly see that this is still a good thing for our clubs to be promoting. Of course, we're going to be active and interested in cultural and social welfare of our communities. And we want to work together, not just people in our clubs, but we want to join with other clubs and do that. You're going to see some of that. Some of your zones will have zone socials from time to time for the clubs to get together, or you may do club visitations, that kind of thing. In the last two, I think there's two important points here. A forum for open discussion in our clubs, but one thing that I think it's really important for our new members to understand is that we're supposed to work within our clubs in a way that partisan politics and sectarian religion are not debated by our clubs. I think it's pretty easy to see, especially in recent years, how partisan politics can create a lot of divides and a lot of conflict among folks. So if we could stay away from that in our clubs, it just helps keep the bonds of friendship that we mentioned above there and the ability to work together all that better, all that much easier. So now, does that necessarily mean that your club can't sponsor a candidates forum or something like that? No. But within your club, your members should not start to get into debates about during meetings and activities about certain political positions or things like that. And the same with religion. We are nonpartisan and a non-sectarian organization. And then the last one there is, of course, we are serving out of the goodness of our hearts and our desire to improve our communities. So we're not doing this for financial reward, and we should not, Lions members should not receive that kind of a direct benefit or be looking for that direct kind of a benefit through their involvement with the Lions Club. Let me just pause there and make sure nobody has any questions about those aspects, or if anybody wants to comment on those. Okay, I'm not hearing anything, so we'll go on. The organization also has a code of ethics. When you were inducted as a new member, you said that you would follow the code of ethics, or you agreed to follow by this code of ethics. But in my experience, many new members never actually see this code of ethics before they are inducted into the organization, and they may not see it for well after. So I wanted to be sure that you saw it and were aware of the things that are in the code of ethics. Most of them are pretty straightforward, pretty, what do I want to say? I'm losing the word I want to, or the phrase I want to say here. Not necessarily obvious, but common sense. That's what I want to say. And I think one of the ones, again, the last one on this list I have is to be careful with my criticism and liberal with my praise, to build up and not destroy. I think if we keep that mentality and that thought in mind as we go about our club activities, again, we'll have a much more harmonious functioning club with that. It can certainly be easy to get into that mindset from time to time if things aren't going well, but we want to build people up in our organization so that everybody feels comfortable and more motivated to contribute than to stay away. And I certainly hope that as new members to the organization, those things are happening in your clubs. You're seeing that and you're receiving the encouragement that that you need to feel comfortable within the club. So let me give you just another few seconds to look at the other things that are on that list and see if there's anything you want to ask or comment on that list. Okay, I'm going to move on. And actually, I'm going to just back out here for a second and double check and make sure I haven't missed anybody wanting to come into the session. And I think I've got everybody. All right, so we will go back to the screen share. Right, that's basically the 30,000 foot observation about the organization as a whole. So now let's go and let's talk about the club level of Lions. And in some cases, these are going to be things that go across clubs, but it's kind of like a theme and variations. Clubs are responsible for these things or do these things, but kind of in their own unique ways. So if we had added everybody who had registered, these are the 14 or the 12 clubs that were going to be on tonight's presentation. The number, or the years behind the names of the clubs represent the years that the clubs were what we call chartered, when they were first formed. And you can see we've got one club in there, the Red Lion Club, that dates all the way back to 1924. That is the oldest club in our area, our 3-county area of Adams, York, and Cumberland counties. The most recent club that we had join or had charter was in 2017, and that was the Shrewsbury Area Centennial Lions Club. It was called the Centennial Lions Club because 2017 was the 100th anniversary of Lions International, and so any club that was chartered that year was called a Centennial Club. And then we also have a club that just is getting started. It's not a full club, it's called a branch club. And a branch club is like a small offshoot club of a regular club. And that club refers to themselves as the Yorktown Branch, and they are a branch of the Weigelstown Lions Club. So they just got started last spring and are doing very well with that. They are located at Spirit Trust in York, just off of Roosevelt Avenue, I think it is where they are.
Yep, that's correct.
So yeah, we have a quite, thank you. So you can see quite a variety of start dates, and most of our clubs in the district were formed in the 30s, 40s, and 50s. So a lot of them have been around for quite a while. Some of the things that I'm going to address during this part in relation to clubs are officers and elections, the meeting days and times. These are all things, that hopefully you are becoming more familiar with, and will have a chance to ask more questions about to people in your club, particularly your sponsor or your membership chair. Hopefully you're learning about the service activities that you do and the fundraising activities. Fundraising is not service. Service is not fundraising. They are just different things. Sometimes they coordinate, they come together, and but I think it's important to understand when it's actual service and when it's fundraising. Sometimes they get lumped together. We'll talk a little bit about your dues and budgets for your clubs, some of your traditions, and I'm going to be asking some of you to chime in on the traditions because, I'm only a member of the Arntsville Lions Club, so I only know our traditions. And hopefully by this time you've picked up on a couple of your club traditions. So those of you who are on, I'd love to have you share a tradition that, an ongoing tradition of your club that you're aware of. We'll talk a little bit about some awards, how clubs communicate, and finally just review some of the benefits of membership that you may or may not already be aware of. So when it comes to the club officers and elections, according to our club constitution and bylaws, every club should have these officers, and you can see them listed there. The club constitution and bylaws are a reflection or kind of lay out exactly how your club is to function. And I will talk about that a little bit later when we talk about the international constitution and bylaws. But some of our clubs are small and they can't always, they might even be so small that they don't have a different individual to be able to do to serve in one of these positions. So some clubs will combine these positions or have the same person serving in multiple roles with that. Just a couple of things to highlight. The president role is pretty much what presidents do in other organizations. They're the kind of the drivers of the club during their year as president. The immediate past president is not just sort of a resource for the president and the upcoming officers, but they also are the person the default person who kind of promotes our international foundation for the club and works to try to secure donations to our foundation for the club. Moving down there, the rest of the officers, the vice president, secretary, treasurer, membership chair, marketing, service chairperson, those are pretty self-explanatory. The bottom two might not be as explanatory. The lion tamer is sort of like your club's property manager. Whatever property your club owns, it's the lion tamer's responsibility to maintain and store or protect those things. For some clubs, that's just like a bell and a gavel and maybe a podium or something like that, your club's banner. Some clubs have property in terms of what do I say? Like our club has a restaurant that we run, so we have equipment in there that our lion tamer is responsible for, at least making arrangements for everything to be maintained, or a pavilion at a park, or some other meeting house or something like that. So that's the lion tamer role. And then the tail twister role is kind of the person who keeps the mood light at club meetings and tries to promote fun and good fellowship within the club. So the tail twisters often will have something whipped up for each meeting to engage the members in, maybe it's a trivia question, or maybe it's some kind of a game. Tail twisters do have the authority to fine their members and set up a fine structure, all of that being in good fun. The idea behind that is, though, that the fines can be are a way to support the administrative aspects of the club's dealings and raise a few extra dollars for those administrative funds, which again, we're going to talk about in just a minute here. Oh, I should say that there can be other officers locally. You may amend your constitution and bylaws, or you may have separate club policies that have other roles. Many clubs have a chaplain or something along that line. For as far as their club, they might have multiple vice presidents. They could have an assistant secretary or a corresponding secretary and a recording secretary, and all kinds of things like that, just to build up. And then committee chairs as far as the various projects that your club has going on, fundraisers and service wise. The elected officers, which are the ones basically that I showed you there, the other ones are pretty much appointed, but the ones that I just showed you are to be elected annually. And the club president, your club president right now, should have appointed, hopefully by this time, a nomination committee. And that committee should be working on finding candidates for each of the elected offices. And they are supposed to bring those nominees to a club meeting, the names of those nominees to a club meeting in March, so that voting then can occur in April. And new officers will then will actually officially begin their term on July 1st. So the Lion year runs from July 1st to June 30th at all levels of Lionism. All officers in Lions run on that year, and that's the fiscal year for all of our Lions activities as well.
Dennis, are there term limits for any of those positions?
Those positions are all technically 1 year. The people have to be re-elected, but there is nothing in the bylaw, in the constitution or bylaws that limits those officers to serving consecutively, for more than 1 year.
So someone kind of could be on a roll for life. Just joking, but
well, yeah, we have the let me see if I got to get this right. It's not Plainfield. It's Jacksonville Lions Club in Cumberland County. The secretary refers to himself as secretary for life. So the secretary is one position that it's difficult if you have a secretary who, if your secretary changes year after year, because the secretary kind of drives a lot of things and needs to be familiar. So you find secretaries tend to be in office for multiple years, as do treasurers for multiple years. But most of the other officers turn over each year, or some clubs have gone to their general policy, even though they hold the election, is that there's an expectation that the president will serve a 2-year term, that kind of thing, and it goes on. But yeah, thank you for that question. When it comes to meeting days and times, I just went through the directory. Hopefully it is still up to date. I mean, really, I hope it is, because I put the directory together, but things do change. Clubs make changes throughout the year. But as far as I know, these are the meeting days and times for the clubs that were registered for this. You can see that all of these clubs meet in the evenings, and that's true for, as far as I know, all of our clubs except for the branch club, the Yorktown branch, which meets I think at 11 o'clock in the morning and then rolls into lunch after that. We have had in the past a breakfast club and a noontime club in York, but those clubs have unfortunately disbanded. So we have all evening clubs right now. We do have some clubs that, or we have one club, actually, I think Jerry's on here, Upper Adams. They experimented last year, and I'm not sure if they're still doing it, but they usually meet, just have one meeting that you see it near the bottom of the list there, the third Tuesday of each month. But they were also scheduling a breakfast meeting for once a month. And that was kind of to accommodate some new members that they got who could not make the evening meetings. I think that situation may have changed, so I don't know if they're still doing that. Jerry, do you know if they're still doing
Yeah, I've not heard of a breakfast meeting, so if that would be a new one if they are still doing it, but I don't think so.
Okay, all right, well, yeah, to my knowledge, they did it like 2 times last May and June, I think, and or April and May, something like that. I think it was April and May that I remember that they had done it, which I think is a nice idea. And I think it's another way that you can engage more people who aren't necessarily available in the evening, or people who don't like to come out for evening meetings or drive in the dark. You know, it's a great
Right.
possibility that clubs could consider to maintain or expand membership.
Hey, Dennis,
Yeah, go ahead, Doug.
our club has always met the first and third Tuesdays at 6. But we used to meet at 6:30, and we changed it to 6 about a year and a half or so ago. I don't know where the Thursday came from.
Yeah.
I'm not aware of that. We've never, as far as I know, we've never met on Thursdays. So first and third Tuesdays at 6.
Well, it's probably because whoever put this slideshow together can't read, because in the directory it says Tuesdays. So
Okay.
first and third, but you say you're at 6 o'clock now.
Yeah, 6 o'clock. We moved it up a little bit. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
I'll need
Thank
to
you.
change. Thank you. I appreciate the correction. Service activities. This is just a from what I'm able to see, I just picked one service activity for each club. Clubs do report their activities, most clubs, to Lions International, and those activities we're able to view those activities online through what's called My Lion. Each of you actually has access to My Lion, and that might be a topic for another day for you to get into, but a little bit more involved than what we need to. And plus that system's going to change a little bit within the next, probably the next 6 months. So I don't want to get into it and then have things change before we do it. So we may have another seminar offering next fall on the new Lion system that you can have access to see what your club's doing, what other clubs are doing, that kind of thing. But these are just gives you an overview of the kinds of things different clubs are doing as service activities. It's a wide ranging kind of thing. And the important thing I think here is that every club is in a community that has its own needs. And the main purpose of your club is to try to address the unmet needs in your community, where nobody else or no other organization can quite fill that gap. That's where your Lions Club can step in and do things. So some clubs have, when they have traditional projects they do year after year, we refer to those as signature service projects. And that's what most of these projects are, as opposed to one time. Now, the exception here would probably be Red Lion, where I put in that they donated to Kentucky Disaster Relief. We frequently put out as a district a district effort, or LCI puts out an effort. You probably just saw after the earthquakes in Turkey and Syria, you got a message probably from the International Association asking for contributions or promoting that from our International Disaster Relief Fund. Well, in Pennsylvania, we also have a disaster relief program, and so we ask for that. And last year we took a group of people to, or we collected actually almost 2 tractor trailer fulls of supplies after the tornadoes in Kentucky. And we shipped those out, and we also sent a team of workers out, volunteers, to go out and help with disaster relief for the better part of a week in East or Western Kentucky. So that's what this one reflects. But these others are pretty much ongoing efforts that these clubs are involved with. And hopefully, if I didn't make any mistakes there, I think all of them are pretty self-explanatory. Vision has been a long time service initiative, helping people who are blind or with visual vision problems. That's been a long-going effort for Lions almost since the time the organization was founded. So you can see that that's reflected in these projects. The Stewartstown Shred Day, if you're not familiar with that, that's to get rid of documents. It's document shredding. I know we have that. Lions don't sponsor, but we have that in our area. So I think that's a great project for a Lions Club to consider. Student of the month, student of the year, or student of the quarter. You see that a couple of times. So we have a lot of clubs that get involved with their schools and helping youth or doing things for the youth in their community. The blood drive, you're going to see that come up a little bit later. And some of these other things you're going to see references to when I talk about district level service. As far as fundraisers, we have a lot of ways to raise money to support our service activities. And that's why we do hold fundraisers. Is the fundraisers are a means to an end, and that end is to help people and provide service to our communities. We don't just raise funds and spend them on on ourselves for meals and things like that. We raise funds to give back to the community so we can do good things for the community. So you can see and hear everything from a golf tournament to ice cream sundaes to soft pretzels. Doug, maybe you want to mention what I did put Pepin Fest in there, but I didn't know even how to explain it. So maybe you want to just comment on that real quick.
Well, basically, started 40 couple years ago because we're in an apple producing part of Adams County. We have an apple related festival that is the last full weekend in September each year. And the committee and town gets vendors and local organizations and live entertainment, etc. We as a club sell apple dumplings, whoopie pies, bagged apples, cider, those types of things. there's a lot of man hours involved over that weekend, but it usually goes pretty well. It's one of our bigger fundraisers, along with a raffle that we started again, and we've also done some homemade candy sales in the past. So it's a good fundraiser, and it's good for us to get out in front of the community too. So.
Yeah, your fundraisers, I think that makes a good point there. Your fundraisers often are the things that give your club visibility in the community, a chance for them to see your club in action, raising funds, but also just so that you as members can interact with people in the community and tell them more about the service projects that you're doing, how you're using that money. And a lot of times a specific fundraiser will be designated for a particular purpose, not just for the club's general use of funds, but also but for a particular cause. And sometimes that really helps people turn out when they know it's going for something in particular. So that's just kind of an overview. Hopefully you're becoming much more familiar with the variety of service activities and that your club is doing and how they are financing those activities. Not all service projects take a whole lot of money, if any money. Sometimes, like our club does a road cleanup. Well, that really involves contacting PennDOT, and they supply stuff. So you can do a lot of fundraisers without a whole lot of money also. So the two don't have to go hand in hand. You should be familiar.
Dennis.
Yeah, yes, go ahead.
I'm a new member only since, well, actually I was just inducted the beginning of this month. But I have attended meetings since November. And the one thing I've taken notice from our club is, I think and it's probably common throughout other clubs, is that our fundraising efforts, as well as our service efforts, it's an opportunity for us to recruit new members. And I know for all clubs, that's a challenge, okay, is getting new members. And I think we get so wrapped up in that planning of the fundraiser. So when it happens, that's what we're focused on. And we forget to invite others to become part of that. You know, if they're already supporting it, or if you have those non-Lions also helping with the service projects, the service outreach, again, it's a great opportunity. They're obviously involved. They obviously want to help the community, but have we invited them to become a Lion or check out what it means to be a Lion? I think it's just a big opportunity that we just missed. To no one's fault. It's just we're human nature. We're caught up in the activity and the responsibility that we had committed to, at that time. But I think it's a great opportunity to recruit. And as new members of a Lion, as new Lions, I think we're probably the prime candidates to share others why we got involved.
Yeah, those are great and very insightful comments. I've sat through a number of recruiting seminars, and that's one of the points that is often made, is use those opportunities to invite people in to help you with your fundraising efforts as volunteers, which gives you that face-to-face contact and then an opportunity to talk to people. And, you could even capitalize more on that if your club is ready and has a little club brochure that you have available to hand to those folks and share with them what's on there, so that they don't have to just remember everything what you told them, but something you can hand to them. But actively involving them in your club's project, helping with fundraisers or helping with service projects is the best way. It's kind of like the word of mouth type of recruiting. It's probably the most effective way to get new people to an existing club. So thank you.
Yeah, I know our club is looking at the brochure that you brought that up, and I had suggested, keep it short, sweet, and make it a tease. Okay, don't overwhelm them with information, because if you list too many things on there, people think they have to do all of those things. And all of a sudden, I don't have time for that. I'm going to walk away. I'm not even going to look into it. So again, short, sweet, and a tease. Right.
And appreciate those comments. Okay, moving on to dues and budgets for your clubs. This I can't speak in a whole lot of specificity because, again, each club is a little bit different. But what I can tell you is that you pay dues to be a member of this of your Lions Club, and in turn, some of that money goes out to the international organization. Some of it goes to the multiple district, and we'll talk about what the multiple district is, and we'll talk about what the district is. So you can see what the amounts are right there. So whatever you pay in dues right now, $61 of that goes out for those purposes. Whatever the remainder of that is, that's on an annual basis. Whatever the remainder of that amount is, that is staying with your club to support your club's administrative activities. You know, whether that be meals, if your club pays for meals during your meetings, or mailings, or whatever incidental things your club has. Maybe they have token gifts for speakers who come in. Just trying to think of other miscellaneous expenses that clubs have. Some clubs like to pay the entrance fee for new members, so those monies might there might be a little bit of extra in your dues to help cover those costs. Most clubs, I believe, collect dues twice a year, but again, each club is different. Some might allow members to pay monthly to keep it low budget wise. Some might do quarterly collection of dues. Some might only do annual collection of dues. Some clubs have opportunities to raise administrative funds other ways, and they can offset the individual members having to or the cost for individual members in those ways. But the dues are an important part. But it's what I really want you to understand about dues is that this is how we can give back all of the funds that we raise through our fundraisers, give all that money back to the community. It's because our dues cover the costs for the clubs. And that's one of the unique aspects of Lions clubs. Your club should have two accounts. Many clubs have actually separate checking accounts for an activity fund and an administrative fund, and budgets for each of those. Some clubs just maintain two different ledgers. It's one checking account with two different ledgers. But it is really important that as far as record keeping, your club keeps activity money separate from administrative money. Money that's in the administrative account may be used for service projects and activities, but money that's in the activities account cannot, by your bylaws, cannot be used, by your constitution and bylaws, cannot be used for administrative costs, the costs to run the club. So when you do a fundraiser and you collect funds from the public, so if you have a sandwich sale, all the money that you collect, or I should say the profit, of course you have to pay your expenses, but what's left over after you've paid your expenses for a fundraising project, that money needs to go in an activity account, and it can only be used then for service and service project kinds of things. That money cannot come back and be used to fund your club, a banquet for your club at the end of the year or something like that. The monies need to be kept separate. Many clubs, as far as to help with those administrative costs, in addition to dues, they will, I'm sure many of your clubs have like a 50-50 at each meeting. So the 50% of that money that's held back, that goes into administrative. As long as it's coming from the money's coming from your Lions Club members, that's it. That can be used as administrative money for that. So I do want to pause right there and make sure I'm saying that clearly and see if anybody has any questions about that aspect. the financial aspect. Okay. I know on a recruiting basis, we often hear, people are reluctant because of the cost of the dues, but and again, it really depends how much your club charges total amount. In most cases, though, a Lions Club membership dues are equal to or lower than many of the other service organizations. So I feel good about where we are with that. I will mention that the international dues will be going up over the course of the next 3 years. There will be some incremental increases, but it's been probably at least 10, maybe 15 years since there was an increase in the international dues. So that's just a heads up, and you'll probably be hearing more about that from your club secretaries towards the end of the year. Okay, how are we doing time-wise here? All right. As far as the club tradition, again, I don't know some of those interesting traditions that your club might have, as far as that are just unique to what they do. I know our club has every summer we have steak night at one of our meetings. So that's just something that we've done, and it's just kind of a nice evening to treat ourselves. In our club, we do have meals as part of our evening meetings, and the steak night is one of those treat nights that we have. I've heard of some clubs, the Dover Lions Club, they sing at the beginning of each meeting. When they're ready for their dinner to come out, they sing. They have a little song that they sing, and the folks bring out that's the signal to the people in the kitchen that they're ready for their meal. Some clubs have holiday parties, that kind of thing. How about you folks? Are you aware of any traditions in your particular clubs that you'd like to share, or a tradition from your club that you've picked up on so far?
I know at the Pikes Creek Valley, they sing a patriotic song in the beginning and the end, of their meetings, and they're also very big with Toys for Tots.
Okay.
They actually were recognized by the Toys for Tots here in York County as being the largest supporter of that campaign, and actually they were number 3 in the state, next to Pittsburgh and Philadelphia. So pretty impressive.
Yeah, that's great. Great.
And Dennis, you already mentioned Upper Adams with the tradition of the student of the quarter, but I think that is a really nice event. And that's actually how I was exposed to the Lions Club, the Upper Adams Club, years ago when my son was awarded. But it's a way to introduce people to your club, because when they bring the students in and their families, and we have the dinner, and you get to know some of the students and their families, and they tell a little bit about themselves, but it's a great way for them to be introduced to the club. And plus it's a little publicity when they get their picture in the paper, and it's just a nice positive family event for our club.
Yes. Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, well, I'm sure as you spend more time with your clubs, you'll pick up on some of these traditions that they have, and hopefully you don't get caught in one or whatever that that they're just waiting for you to do something and catch you again, all in good fun. Lions Club does have all kinds of different recognition and awards available to recognize your accomplishments and different things like that. A membership key is basically, I think it starts at if you sponsor, when you sponsor your second member, you get your first membership key. And then after that, there's different levels depending on how many new members you bring into Lions. You can earn different membership keys. And I think it's sort of a key shaped little pin that shows how many members you have brought in. There are chevrons also. You all got your Lions Club pin when you were inducted. There's a hanger that goes on them, and every 5 years you get a little rocker starting. I think it starts at your 10th year, and then every 5 years after that you get a new one that it just has bars that indicate a small bar for 5 years and a larger bar for 10 years. So I just got my one for 30 years this year. They're awarded based on the Lions year that you came into the organization. So I started my first year, I became a member in June of 1993. So that was technically the 92-93 Lion year, is at the very end. So here in 2022, 2023, I got my 30-year chevron. Also, if you sponsor a new member.
Congratulations on 30 years.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I think there's a couple people on here. I know there's at least one on here. It's got more than that, right, Doug? Yep.
Are you speaking to me?
Yeah.
No, I think I joined in 95.
Oh,
Yeah,
so
I
got a
think I
couple
joined, I
years
have
on it.
20, 27, 28, whatever it
Okay.
is.
Okay.
Time
Sorry
goes
about
by,
that.
time
Yeah.
goes by quickly when you're having fun, Dennis.
It does. I don't know. How about anybody else? Is anybody else a longtime member besides Doug? I know the couple that signed up were, but I don't think they made it on. So, okay. So let's see. If you sponsor a new member, when that new member is inducted, not only do they get a pin, but you get a pin as a member sponsor and a certificate with that. So you might remember that from when you had your induction ceremony or your induction ceremony. I confuse induction and installation, and I always have to think, am I talking about officers or new members? So yeah, your induction ceremony, your sponsor probably received a certificate and a pin as well. Extension awards have to do with starting new clubs. The PA Counselors Distinguished Service Award. PA counselors are not people who give who do therapy sessions or anything like that. That's it's the past district governors from across the state of Pennsylvania that make up the PA counselors. And I think that term refers to just sort of like advisors, that kind of thing. But they sponsor a service award that district governors can submit names for. But the people are nominated by the club, by the individual clubs. There's a nomination process where either a club president or a club secretary can nominate a member of that club and recommend that person to the district governor to be to receive this award. And then just like the International Association has its own foundation, the Lions of PA have a foundation. And when a club or individual makes a donation of $500, they qualify and may honor somebody with a fellowship in recognition of that donation. Likewise, as I said, the International Foundation has what they call the Melvin Jones Fellowship. Melvin Jones was the primary mover and shaker who got the organization started. And a Melvin Jones Fellowship can be, a person can be recognized with that for a $1,000 donation to the foundation. So if a club makes that donation, or when they've made donations totaling $1,000, they are able to honor somebody with a Melvin Jones Fellowship. So those are just a few. That's by no means a comprehensive list of all the awards that are available.
Dennis, can I talk just a little bit about the Lions of Pennsylvania Foundation?
Sure.
Okay, so I am the new executive director for the foundation as of October. And
I just had
again,
that mentioned at the state council meeting, so
yes,
congratulations.
well, thank you. You know, when you make a contribution, when you make that fellowship to the Lions of Pennsylvania Foundation, it comes back, all of those funds come back minus the recognition award amount, comes back to the local Lions clubs here in Pennsylvania. So if they're working on a special project, you know, maybe helping an organization put in a handicap ramp, or supplying AED, you know, to sports team, to your youth sports teams. Those kind of projects outside of our norm for our Lions are projects that are considered to receive funding. It is a matching grant, so your Lions Club would raise 50%. The Lions PA Foundation would provide the other 50%. So it is a great opportunity to expand your reach, your visibility in the community. So I, again, strongly encourage you to consider that. And a heads up, and you'll be the first to know, but on one of our upcoming board meetings, we are considering raising that amount. It has never been raised since its inception 25 years ago. So that level is probably going to increase because the price of the awards have been going up and up and up. So if you want to take advantage of that, do it by June 30th. So that's my plug.
Okay, thank you.
If anybody has any
And,
questions about it, please feel free to reach out to me. I'd be happy to talk to them about the fellowship and the foundation.
And the foundation does have a website, so the contact information is there. And just to piggyback on what was said there, the Lions clubs in Adams County used a foundation grant along their matching grant, along with what we did, provided the seed money for Lions Club International Foundation grant that was 3 times that amount. So we were able to, in total, do an $80,000 project when the clubs in our area only had to raise $10,000 of that $80,000. So it can be used very effectively, and it's a great resource to have. Okay, moving on to communications. Again, I can't necessarily, I don't know what your clubs are using for communications, but most clubs have some sort of a newsletter. Most of our clubs have a website. I'm sure email is in play for most of you. Facebook page might be a little less, unless you've got some tech savvy members who are willing to take that on. Instagram is probably used even a little bit less. So, I think those are the primary ways, but if somebody else has another way that their club is communicating, I'd love to hear about that. Okay, I guess I got them all. So just to kind of summarize here, you know, we've gone over a lot that's at the about the club level aspect, and before we move on to the other levels, but you know, it's great as a member of a Lions Club to be able to feel like you're a part of that global community and doing things for good. The energy that comes from that, you know, and it gives you access to these supports and tools and resources. You're going to see a little later on here, leadership opportunities, leadership within your club, and ways to develop your skills through training as well. Obviously, you're doing this, if you weren't happy about this, or if it wasn't fulfilling, giving you some satisfaction, you wouldn't be involved. And I hope you continue to find that satisfaction as you continue your involvement with your Lions Club. And that's a real important aspect, is make sure that our members do maintain that satisfaction. And again, depending on where you want to go, there are networking opportunities. And I know when I became involved at the district level, I just broadened my scope of friendships, and you meet so many wonderful people through Lions Club. It's amazing. And there is a certain amount of respect and credibility when people in your community know about your club and what your club does. You being a member of that club gives you some respect within your community. So it's been a great it's a great organization. We're really glad that you decided to join. Let's talk now briefly about the levels beyond your club. The next level above the club level that has elected officers is the district level. So around the world, there are about 750 districts and 35 or more clubs in each of those districts. Or you have to have at least 35 clubs to establish a district. So the primary elected official there is the district governor. And actually, you get elected as a vice district governor first, typically, and then you move up through to eventually become the district governor. So our district is District 14C. We are one of 17 districts in Pennsylvania, Lions districts in Pennsylvania. And our area covers Adams, Cumberland, and York County. We have, excuse me, we have our district, we have divided into 8 what we call zones. And those zones are made up of 3 to 8 clubs per zone. And we have a total, though, of 45 Lions clubs and 4 Leo clubs. A Leo club is kind of like a junior Lions club. It's a service project of a Lions club, but it's for children. It could be anywhere from age 12 to 18 in the Leo club. So our 45 clubs, again, we have broken down into these 8 zones, and that's just kind of a management thing. Each zone has a chairperson who is a member of one of the clubs, typically a member of one of the clubs in that zone. So that's the level there. And then the next level up from that is called a multiple district. And as you can see here, it's when 2 or more districts within a territory are come together. So we are part of multiple district 14, and that's why we're 14C. And there's 16 others besides C. So we've got A, B, C. It doesn't go through the whole alphabet, obviously. We have some letters missing, but they go throughout the state with that. Our Lions district is about 11, well, close to 1,200 members in our District 14C. Statewide, we're at about, I think, somewhere between 17 and 18,000 Lions in Pennsylvania. The multiple district does have an office in Harrisburg, and not all multiple districts do this, but we're large enough that we do have a paid state administrator. And so when you saw that $16 of that goes to the multiple district out of your dues, one of the things that helps pay for is a state administrator who keeps coordinates almost all the activities of the state. The governing body is the Council of Governors, and that is made up of the district governors from the 17 districts. So it's a 17-person council, and that council is chaired by an immediate past district governor. So one of last year's district governors becomes the chairperson for the current Council of Governors. And that's done on a rotation. It just rotates a district from district to district who provides the council chairperson, and that's known well ahead of time. So this year, the council chairperson is from District 14U, which means next year's council chairperson will come from 14W. In the 2026-2027 Lion year, the chairperson will be from District 14C, which means that the person that we elect as second vice district governor in a couple of months will actually go on to become the council chair. So that's an important election for us coming up in April. Our current district governor is Keith Schoaf, and again, many of you may have met him at the district governor visit if he's been to your club. First vice district governor Marty Zimmerman, he may have actually been along. Marty's at Stewartstown Lions Club, and our second vice district governor is Galen Burkholder. Those are the elected officers. But again, this second vice district governor is really the key one. Once you're elected a second vice district governor, as long as you don't do anything out of line, you will move up to be first vice district governor and then district governor. Although formally we do vote on each of those each year during the district convention. The cabinet secretary and cabinet treasurer are not elected positions. Those are appointed positions by the district governor. As I mentioned, we have the 8 zones, and you can see 1A, 1B, 2A, 2B, 3A, 3B, and 4A, 4B. At one time, we also had region chairs, and that's what the 1, 2, 3, and 4 represent, are the 4 regions of the state, but we do not do too much formally with the structure of that other than in this is naming. So these are the current zone chairs. They too are appointed by the district governor. A zone chair is only supposed, well, according to the new bylaw or a revision in the bylaws, they may only serve 3 consecutive years and then they need to take a break. In order to become a district governor, you need to have served as a zone chair or a cabinet secretary or treasurer. I'm not positive about the treasurer, but if you're a cabinet secretary, you can also be move up to district governor. And so in red there, I just put the clubs that were supposed to be represented tonight, although I think I missed Red Lion on this slide. But these are the clubs, so you can kind of see which zone your club is in if you weren't familiar with which club your zone is in. So the district officers as vice district governors and the chairpersons make up the council of governors, or I'm sorry, the district cabinet. They are the voting members of the district cabinet. Non-voting members are the people listed here under the Global Action Team. The Global Action Team is a fairly new structure to Lions. Started around 2017. It was about the year that I came in as governor, or just before that they started forming this. They've had a few tweaks to it, but the basic premise between the Global Action Team, and this Lions would like to see this at all levels of the organization, from the club level all the way up through to the international level. But the concept behind the Global Action Team is to have membership initiatives, leadership initiatives, and service initiatives all being coordinated and linked together, so to speak, so that they aren't just out there as islands, but they are helping each other. So in order to do a service project, you need good leadership. And a service project also, as we talked about before, can be an opportunity to recruit new members. All right. To have good members, when you're looking at membership, you need to look at new members who could be good leaders, new members who have extension in the community so that you can have a better pulse on what the service needs are of the community. All right? When you're looking at leadership, you got to have, as I said, leaders to serve, and your leaders are going to be the ones who can push and maybe help you with membership recruitment. So it's the concept there to do that. And I listed the people who are, we have use all these initials, the GMT, GET, GLT, GST. You can see that I am currently serving as the service team coordinator. So the G is for global, and just gets to be a little bit much after a while with that. But these are the people who are serving in those roles right now for your district. We do hold conventions. Districts need to have that in order to do the business of the district, and most importantly, to elect their district governor and other the vice district governors, basically. But at our convention in District 14C, we also have some seminars, and it's just a great time to get together and kind of celebrate the accomplishments of the year. We always have our district convention in April, and there's kind of a progression here where you go from the district convention in April to the state convention in May to the international convention, which is usually the end of June or beginning of July. So this year's convention will be on the 15th of April, and it's at Wyndham Garden in York. It's been there for the past several years. We like that facility. It's only it's basically an afternoon, but it's a nice afternoon. Good chance we always have a guest speaker who's either an international director or a past international director. They come in and share some of their experiences and whatever focus area they had, or emphasis that they have, they share with us and share their wisdom and experience. The necrology service is just a nice time to remember our past, our Lions who were unfortunately passed away during the course of the past 12 months. We do some of those awards like the PA counselors, the Distinguished Service Awards, and some other things during that. We have seminars to further your education about Lions. And of course, we do our elections during that. Sometimes there's some sort of a social gathering afterwards. This year, I believe that's going to be sort of a cowboy themed. Well, the whole convention is going to be cowboy themed, from what I understand, and we're going to have some fun and games after the convention for the formal part of the convention for those who want to stick around afterwards. But like I said, it's not a real long day, so something to keep in mind. As far as our service projects at the district level, some of the things that we do are at every cabinet meeting, we collect eyeglasses, hearing aids, and cell phones, and we have people who are responsible for organizing those and getting where they need to be. Beacon Lodge 500 Club. Beacon Lodge is our summer camp, which is a project you can see down on the list below here with the multiple district service projects, PA Lions Beacon Lodge Camp. It's a summer camp, and it is basically, initially it was for blind and visually impaired individuals, but it's expanded to a number of other disability categories. And they also run a camp for service members. They have, I think, 2 different weeks designated for service members who are suffering from PSTD kinds of things. So it's a rather versatile camp. It's in Mount Union, PA. It's a really nice facility. At the district level here, the 500 Club is basically a challenge to clubs to give a $5 donation per member to Beacon Lodge each year. We also have a blood donation committee, so we try to hold a blood drive in each of the 3 counties at least once each year. The district sponsors a peace poster contest that starts actually at the club level. Clubs can sponsor a contest and choose a winning poster. That winning poster then is sent to the district governor and the peace poster contest chairperson, and then they select the district winner, which then goes on to the multiple district, which then goes on to the international level. So we have actually at the upcoming cabinet meeting, we're going to recognize this year's peace poster contest winners at the district level. We also have a vision screening program where the district has purchased 3 vision screening devices that are available for clubs to to use and screen. The primary focus is on preschool age children, but the devices can be used for students of any age and even adults, but it's primarily a program for students and in particular preschool age students to try to catch vision problems early. So your club may or may not be involved with that. And we're also part of the Northeast PA Lions Service Foundation area. Half of the districts in Pennsylvania are aligned with this. It used to be the Northeast PA Lions iBank, but because of changing needs and how on the types of things that iBanks do and the way eye care has gone with transplants and things like that, we have they transitioned this into a foundation that now has funds available to help for a wide range of needs. Similar, not totally different from the PA Lions Foundation itself, but these are a lot of healthcare and individual needs as opposed to sort of group projects and club projects. At the state level, then you can see we have the PA Lions Foundation, the Beacon Lodge we've already talked about. We also have a Hearing Research Foundation and Site Conservation and Eye Research Foundation. Both of those foundations are focused mostly on seed money for research grants related to their areas. And they do come back and they report to the at state council meetings or at the state convention about some of the research that's done. The Site Conservation and Eye Research Foundation actually holds something in the fall where they have the researchers actually come, or they hold it at facilities, and it usually rotates from Philadelphia to Harrisburg to Pittsburgh. And so you're on site and you get to hear from the researchers and some of the things that are going on. Leader Dogs for the Blind is actually located in Rochester, Michigan, but it's a Lions project that we support here in Pennsylvania. And we have Lions in Pennsylvania who serve as puppy trainers for this. And it makes a great road trip to go and see the facility. It's a wonderful facility. The Leader Dog program provides a guide dog to visually impaired individuals who qualify, and they get the dog and they get 3 weeks, I think, of training at no cost to the individual. The only cost the individual incurs is care for the dog once they bring them home. So it's a wonderful program, and it's supported primarily by Lions all across the United States. And then recently, I think it was 2018 perhaps, that the PA Lions joined with Four Diamonds Fund and has their own kind of subcategory called Care for the Kids that Lions can donate through there to keep track of Lions Club and individual Lions donations to the Four Diamonds Fund. So that's kind of another nice thing to do. And that's primarily because childhood cancer is now one of Lions International's global causes. And I'll talk about more of that in just a minute here. And I'm pretty close on time. So our communication at the district level, we have a website. Hopefully some of you all have gotten emails from the MailChimp service. And right now I'm responsible for sending those things out. So sometimes you'll see my name come up in that, but if you see something from District 14C Lions, that's how we distribute our newsletter. The newsletter also has links at the website if you don't have email. And Lions 14C has a Facebook page, so you can follow that to see different things that come through. I'm going to just keep rolling here real quick to the international level. This is just like a little flow chart of our history. I mentioned before that we started in 1917. Melvin Jones was the big organizer. It was primarily business people in the Chicago area and who got this started. And then they were in contact with some other cities across the United States. the different thing that they want to do here with Lions is that they wanted it to be a service organization that gives back to communities. It wasn't something to, it was just like networking for business people to enhance them, their own businesses and their status or whatever. It was a give back kind of thing. When they expanded to Canada, they became international. 1925 was key because that's how we got involved with helping blind and visually impaired individuals. When Helen Keller came to our convention and encouraged the Lions to adopt this as a cause and become, as she referred to it, Knights of the Blind. We started to affiliate and do things with the United Nations in 45, 1957, the Leo Club program, which, by the way, starting in Pennsylvania. The first Leo Club was in Pennsylvania. The foundation, which is our charitable giving arm, was established in 1968. In 1987, this is kind of an embarrassment. Is this the one? Yes, yes. Wasn't until 1987 that, whoops, I'm sorry, that we first admitted women members. The interesting thing there is that at the very, very beginning, women were allowed, but within I think the first year of the organization, they decided to exclude women. In the 1970s, they established what were called Lioness Clubs, which could become a Lions Club could sponsor a Lioness Club and it would be a project. And so we had a number of Lioness Clubs, but the Lioness Club program was just recently ended in the last 2 years. So now everybody's either a lion or a Leo. There are no longer lionesses, but we obviously now have women as our members, and most clubs have found that to be quite the benefit. They probably wouldn't be in existence if they hadn't allowed women in their clubs. Sight First was a program to eradicate river blindness in third world countries. And now you can see that, as we mentioned before, that Lions have grown to being in 200 countries and geographic regions across the world. That's just a real quick snapshot of our history. We call ourselves either Lions Club International or the International Association of Lions Clubs. They're kind of interchangeable. Most times it's LCI. Most of us refer to it that way. You can see why the reason the lion, I think that's kind of obvious there. Our official symbol is there. The interesting thing here, and you might have heard this in your induction ceremony, where one facing looking at the past and celebrating the accomplishments, and the other looking to the future. That's part of the symbolism behind our lion's emblem. Again, the international structure mirrors the district level or whatever. Really, the voting is for the third vice president, and so the third vice president is elected, they move up to second, first, and eventually the international president. So these are the people who are in office right now. The board of directors, 34 members, and we often have a international director from Pennsylvania. We don't currently have one serving. Our most recent one ended his term at the last convention. The convention last June was the end of his term, and he had the unique position of serving 3 years on the board. It's usually a 2-year term, but he had 3 years because of COVID, and we missed one year of election because of COVID. And so there are 7 constitutional areas around the world. We are constitutional area 1 because Lions Club was founded in the United States initially. But there are now 7 constitutional areas, and those 34 members represent. That's kind of a fluid kind of thing on the representation, because it's based on membership in those of Lions in each of those constitutional areas. So that's evaluated periodically and adjusted. And we've mentioned the Constitution and bylaws several times. The International has that, and then everything flows from there, whether it's at the multiple district level or the district level and the club level. All of those constitutions and bylaws need to be in alignment. Nothing can supersede or be in conflict with the international constitution and bylaws. Lions apparently love conventions because obviously we have a district convention, we have a multiple district convention, which is going to be in Indiana, PA this year in May. I think I mentioned quickly that our state convention is in May. And the international convention is usually the end of June or beginning of July. This year it's July 7th through 11 in Boston, so that's not too far away. You can see upcoming ones if you want a good reason to go to Australia. Maybe it's going to be the convention, or Mexico, or Atlanta, or Washington, D.C. will be a real nice one for us. Singapore, New Delhi, they're going to be a big travel along with Australia for us to get to. So they have them well laid out ahead. And just as another side note, our past international president from Pennsylvania, Joe Robleski, for years coordinated, after he was president, he was the primary coordinator for the Lions Club International Conventions. And I think he still serves an advisory role, but in the last year or two, he has had to back out of that because of health reasons. But Joe Robleski is kind of a very much revered lion internationally at the state level and throughout Pennsylvania. So our international headquarters are in Oak Brook, Illinois. Great place to visit. You can see these 11 with 275 staff divided among these 11 divisions. When I mentioned that $43 of your dues goes to the international, this is what it goes there for. It goes to help these staff members support our districts and our clubs with all of these different services. Leadership development, there is all kinds of opportunities which you'll hear about and we have trainings for, but that you can do online. There, legal stuff, our clubs are all covered. Every activity our clubs do is covered by Lions insurance, liability insurance, so that our clubs don't have to pay anything for that. And if Lions are involved in a project, like if you're partnering with somebody, then that coverage can extend to that group as well. So it's a great thing that your dues are doing, as well as marketing materials, membership materials, ideas for service activities and ways to support those activities. That whole list of things is what your dues are used for at the international level. We have 5 global service causes in Lions. And again, this is a fairly new thing. Vision has always been one of our things. Depending on where you're at, diabetes may have been something. In our area, we have done it before. But most recently, hunger, environment, and childhood cancer have been added. And these are kind of, say, global service causes. These are not limiting in any way. Your clubs do not have to, aren't limited to just projects related to these 5 areas. Your clubs have a lot of autonomy as to what service projects they choose to do and what they decide to support. But the clubs are encouraged to engage when they can find opportunities in these 5 areas to use that, because this helps us create an identity as what Lions do and be more focused when we're talking to the public, and also help the public recognize us for work in these areas. So that's kind of the concept behind the five global causes. In addition to those 5 causes, well, I might have that in a slide here. Our International Foundation, I talked about this, is our charitable arm. If any of you are familiar with any kind of tax stuff, Lions clubs are 401c, C4. We're C4 organizations, and the foundations is a C3, the charitable giving. There's a little distinction there. So in other words, when you give to the foundation, that can be tax deductible. When you if you just make a donation to your local Lions Club, that's not tax deductible unless they have their own 501c3. There we go. 501c3 is the foundation. 501c4 is just a nonprofit organization. So you can see some of the accomplishments there. It's for those large scale projects, and it's completely funded through donations and also by partnering with other nonprofit organizations. For example, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, we've had an ongoing project with them for measles vaccine, distributing measles vaccines and trying to eradicate measles. You can see grants of up more than $1 billion, pretty significant in just over 50 years. And we just had a fundraising campaign for that 3-year campaign. It was called Campaign 100 because the goal was to raise $100 million in each of those 3 years. And they achieved that goal, $300 million in 3 years for donations. So among the other impacts over the 50 years, disaster relief, $120 million. Look at all those children. Lions Quest is a skills program that teaches social and emotional learning skills and conflict resolution skills to children. So that program has touched a lot of children. Cataract surgeries, that's a lot of cataract surgeries. And of course, the measles vaccine that I mentioned. This is the kind of training that is available. Number of different levels of institutes. You work your way from the emerging to regional to advanced. Lions Leader Institute. They train you how to be a trainer if you are so inclined to do that. So you can become a staff or a certified instructor for Lions Club. Every district governor has training in their year prior through LCI in their year prior to becoming governor. In fact, our first vice district governor, who will be governor next year, is just finishing his trip to Chicago for that training with that. And the governors then go to the convention and receive additional training. So they do a lot online, but they do some in person. And any number of webinars that they do to support our district and club leaders in membership, ideas, service projects, all kinds of things, ongoing training there. When membership, we've got all kinds of, these are our structures as far as the types of memberships that are available to members, and there are a few more variations in there for other special things. I don't want to get too far into the weeds there. And a number of different types of clubs. We talked about the branch clubs and specialty clubs may be focused on one particular hobby or interest that all the members share. Campus clubs, as you would guess, are centered on university or college campuses. And the Lioness Club, that probably needs to be taken out of there since it's no longer available. You should receive notice in your email of the Lion magazine being published. I think it's all online now, unless we get maybe 1 or 2 yet a year in paper. Used to be we would get our magazine every 2 months, I think. The Lions website has lots of great information, and they are also active on Facebook, Twitter, and there's a bunch of YouTube videos out there for Lions also that you can easily access through those links. So, sorry, I ran over here and rushed through, but that's unfortunately a little typical for me. I get to be a little too winded with that. So, but I'm happy to stick around and answer questions or anything you want. If you ever have any questions afterwards or something like that, or if you want a copy of the slides, maybe I'll just send the slideshow out to everybody. I do have everybody's email address, but that's my contact information if you need it. And again, I really appreciate everybody coming in to this today and joining the program, taking the time to learn a little bit more about your organization. And I hope you found the information to be useful, and hope you didn't fall asleep. So,
Dennis, I wanted to say thank you. I like how you made it very relevant to those who have registered. That doesn't happen very often. I think it was very, very informative. I know for me it was very
you.
informative. So thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else? Any other questions or any questions?
I was wondering, Dennis, typically,
Yeah.
how have you seen service projects come about? I've only been to 2 meetings, and I'm just wondering, like, does someone stand up and say, hey, I'm interested in starting this project. Would anyone else like to join me? Or how have you seen that happen?
Yeah, that's pretty much kind of how it gets started. You know, somebody in the club hears about a particular need in the community, or has a particular interest, or maybe they are a member of another organization that's looking for some support and help. So essentially, the process should be that you can raise it at a meeting, or you can bring it to the board of directors. Um, Depending on how formalized your structure is in your club, the idea might be referred to a committee, or they might ask you to come back with a little bit more detail and a proposal or something like that. But ultimately, it's up to the board of directors to vote whether they want to support the project and move forward with it, and then get the club behind it. But I think most clubs are pretty open to looking at new service initiatives.
Okay, thank you. And thanks for
Sure.
the presentation.
You bet.
I want to thank you, Dennis. Very informative. I just had a quick question. Did you mention this was going to be on YouTube? If someone wasn't able to attend this meeting, could they look at it on YouTube? And if not, are there other sessions scheduled going forward?
Actually, it's yes to both of those. This one's being recorded. And so what I will do is I will turn around and I will, our technology person for the district post it on his YouTube channel, and we'll let you know, or we'll publish that probably in a newsletter or something like that. Make sure that clubs have access to it between now and the next one. There's another one scheduled for, I want to say June.
Okay.
Which will be similar presentation. So
Okay.
if anybody wants to
All right.
live or wants to join between now and then.
Okay. Thank you.
I know this was designed for new members, but my observation is I think there are longtime Lions who could probably benefit from this as well.
Yeah, we kind of encourage sponsors to tune in too, along with the new members, but that doesn't always happen. So it's amazing how much you can pick up, or something you might have heard before you just forgot about. It's a good refresher, and sometimes it is new information for current members. Okay. All right. Well, thank you again. And at this point, I'm going to end the meeting and wish you all a good evening.
Thanks, you too.